Sister married her dream man and sat me at the kids' table for failing her, so my wedding plans now exclude the whole family. My sister, 34F, and her husband, 36 male, just got married 3 months ago. I, 30F, was appointed Mo. I was so excited to help her plan her wedding and I took on most of the work since I was unemployed at the time and she's a doctor. I won't get into details but take note she didn't have a wedding planner. It was all me. The time leading up to the wedding, I was miserable because of how the bride treated me. I felt like her own personal slave that she felt she could kick around because she's the bride. Just because you're a bride doesn't mean you get a free pass to be a bitch. Many times I wanted to just step out of the wedding party but I kept telling myself to just bite my tongue and keep the peace because she's probably just stressed. After doing so much for her, she refused to invite my fiancé even if we've been together for 12 years but invited my siblings' partners who have been around for only 2 to 3 years. My sister and her guy dated for a year before they got engaged so we don't really know him too well. She said she didn't want my fiancé around because people would be asking about my own wedding since they've all been wanting us to get married for a while. I refused to do any more work for her wedding until she apologized to me and invited my fiancé, which she did. Not exactly sincerely but whatever. I was hurt she wasn't even grateful for anything that I had done for her and her dream wedding because it was expected of me to help. Cut to the day of the wedding and everything was fine. The ceremony was beautiful and the couple was happy. I was happy for my sister. By the time we got to the reception venue, I noticed that my fiancé and I were on a separate table from my family. They were at the VIP table and I was cast aside to sit at the furthest table right beside the kitchen. I figured there was a mistake and I calmly asked the bride about it since she handled the seating plan. She looked me dead in the eye and said there's no mistake, that's where we belong. At the kids' table and far away. We were seated with 7 to 14 years olds. The groom overheard us and agreed with me but kept quiet when my sister gave him this "don't you dare disagree with me" look. At the end of the night, the groom apologized to my parents for what happened to me and said he had no clue his bride did that. But he didn't say a word to me as his bride told him not to. Because of this, I decided to not make an issue and just try to enjoy the remainder of the night with my partner but I wouldn't make a Mo speech. My parents noticed where I was and got upset at the situation as well. My siblings knew very well I wasn't at their table but didn't bother looking for me or wondering why I wasn't seated there. When they heard I wasn't making a speech, my 2 brothers walked to my table to tell me off saying I had to understand my sister and the stress of being a bride, be nice to her because it's her special day and you're only a bride once, yeah right I bet they'll divorce, that I'm a disgrace and a disgusting disappointment for not doing a speech for my sister, that I would make my sister sad and I was being selfish making the night about me, when I was literally quiet in our corner. Needless to say, I wasn't having the best time. So we got up and left. We ended up in McDonald's for dinner and I posted a story of us getting burgers saying post-wedding meal. I made sure I posted it after the reception ended to not make it look like I ditched but my siblings saw this as an attack to my sister somehow. Up to this day, the bride says she did nothing wrong and her reasoning for putting me there was, 1. I didn't plan her wedding exactly like she envisioned during the process so I deserved to sit there, when I was doing everything she told me she wanted. 2. She didn't like that I looked pretty in my gown and, 3. I needed to be punished for insisting on bringing my fiancé. I didn't plan for my own wedding yet as I wanted to be 100% focused on hers, plus she banned me from getting married before her since she's older. Again because I didn't want the drama, I agreed, but now I just don't want anyone there except my parents and a few close friends. My parents agree with me but my siblings are upset calling me childish but to be completely honest, I just don't feel like paying for shit people. Mine is a destination wedding and my fiancé and I are paying for everything. These are our savings and I don't feel like splurging on these people. They along with my grandparents and cousins are all saying I'm wrong. But hey, if I was excluded from being a sibling at my sister's wedding and no one cared, then why would you be upset if I excluded you in return? Update 1. I come from a family of 5 kids. I failed to mention this because I didn't think it was all that relevant but I actually have 2 sisters, 34 and 32, and 2 brothers, 26 and 22. A little more on my sisters. They're the best of friends. They're the picture-perfect model of sisterly love. While I'm the middle child with 2 younger brothers. So why did I agree to be Mo? Well because I thought it would bring us closer. In my mind, I believed that this was her trying to be more of a sister to me. You always hear stories of that sisterly bond around weddings and I tried to nurture that because that's what they had. And that sibling bond is what my brothers had with each other as well. Any chance I'd get to connect with my sisters, I'd jump at the opportunity. It's more me just feeling left out than being a doormat. I was a very sickly child and that is why I was mostly with just my parents growing up while my siblings would be going out, meeting friends, etc., which is what my siblings envied apparently. They aren't close to my parents. Bride had both of us as Mo because she couldn't choose just one. I later found out that I was always the second option and I was just appointed Mo so I do all the work while other Mo got all the praise. Which in hindsight, I should have seen coming. While my brothers were busy harassing me about giving my Mo speech, sister 2 was giving her own Mo speech about how she absolutely loves the bride and will do anything for her, all that cr/p. She then conveniently calls all the siblings to the stage to toast the bride and groom when I was crying and rushing out/walking away from my brothers. So to the other relatives in attendance, I was making a scene and making it about me. No, it's not the first time she hurt me, fat shamed me as a child, calling me a potato, saying things like I was a burden to the family because of my epilepsy, throwing all my makeup in the sink and wetting it because I moved her bath towel in the bathroom, calling me the stupid low IQ sister even if I'm a licensed architect with a master's degree when her guy friends wanted to ask for my number, taking my dream church from me, which is why fiancé said we could do a destination wedding at my dream country instead. It's just the worst she's done to spite me in front of my entire family. And no, we still haven't spoken since then, and she still maintains that I was the one who ruined everything by getting upset about the seating. Now for the update. We will elope, just us two and a handful of close friends that were there for us since the beginning of our relationship. We'll have a small church wedding and a little celebration on the beach with the people we love, our chosen family, followed by island hopping with our entire party around the Philippines. All paid by us. Because I will spend on memories and experiences for people that love and appreciate us. The budget we set aside for a wedding in Italy will be put to an intimate 5-day wedding celebration on an island in the Philippines. 2. We will have our reception with the family when we get back home. The plan is to invite both our big families to a luncheon the weekend after. Collectively, this would mean about 80 guests max. Both our parents wanted to help pay for the engagement party and rehearsal dinner. They agreed to pay for this luncheon/reception instead, meaning they could invite whomever they please. They handle the guest list, so if my siblings are invited, I couldn't care less because I'll be too busy with my husband of 1 to 2 weeks by then. Here we can still have the father-daughter dance and a few other things like cake slicing, etc. We'll have piñatas, a brick oven pizza cart, coffee and pretzels, and an amazing Italian buffet with a pasta bar, lots of fresh fruit and cheese, because who doesn't like cheese? As for seating plan, ever watched Mamma Mia 1? Yep. Think that, a long winding table where my siblings can be as far away from me as possible, and as close to the service area as possible without it being obvious, because they'll all be together at their own siblings' table. We'll be in the center with my fiancé, his 2 brothers, and our parents will be next to us, while my wonderful sibs are by the end of the table, by the restrooms, where they belong. I don't care at all if they're invited to this lunch because I really have nothing left for them, not even anger. I'm just so done with them that I'd feel more for a stranger on the street than I would for these people. It's indifference. They've hurt me so many times that I'm numb to their existence. 3. No bridezilla allowed. My sister expects to be my mo in return. Definitely not going to happen since my siblings won't be present in the ceremony. I do not need her around, I do not want her around. Yes, she will be invited out of courtesy to the reception most likely, but I will make sure she's set aside like I was. How so? We recently found out she's pregnant, so I'm planning my wedding around her due date. Oh well, luckily, she's due around June, which really was the month we wanted. So if she does decide to attend with a newborn and her hus, well then, she's going to be at the kiddie table and told to step out when baby starts to cry. In the end, our wedding day is for us, and eloping is the only way I feel like we could just sit and enjoy our special day together away from all my siblings and family issues. Then we get back, have a get-together lunch with some good food and good fun. Which is really all it is to me, a lunch. Luckily, fiancé's fam isn't as insane as mine is. So there you have it. Thank you all for your messages and comments and insights. I really was going a bit loco back then thinking I was overreacting, but thank you so much for the clarity. Cheers to the end of this emotionally draining year. 20 oop, we'll let you all know how it goes. Right now we're deep into planning mode and we're simply enjoying the process. Update 2. I promise I'll explain. The wedding, I absolutely enjoyed wedding planning with my husband. Yay, if you ever decide to get married, do a small wedding. You'll live longer, I swear. We told our friends and families that we were pushing back the wedding and wanted to do a destination bachelor/bachelorette trip first. They had no idea we were actually getting married on this trip. We got to Boracay 3 days before everyone for some time. When friends arrived, we did all the fun island activities. The night before our wedding, we asked everyone to be up at 7 for breakfast and to dress up in tropical beach outfits for cute pics. We told them to pack this beforehand. Once everyone was there, husband told them we were to be married at 4 p.m. and this was actually an elopement. The excitement from all our friends will forever be a core memory. It's the best feeling to actually have people genuinely happy for you. Us girls did each other's hair and makeup, cried and hugged a lot, while the boys had a good time drinking and playing football. We had our phones and an old digital camera that we'd pass around, and that was it for our event photos. Surprises were our thing since we began dating, and it was just so sweet that we both thought to do the same for our wedding. I love flowers, but I didn't want to bother finding a supplier there. We did have someone help us with all the requirements, but that was it. I'd just get flowers for the luncheon instead. Well, my husband decided to speak to the hotel to surprise me. He knew my favorite flowers and made the prettiest bouquet ever. He also had the church filled and I ruined my makeup ugly crying when I walked in. For my husband, he is extremely close with his brothers, so I made sure to fly them out to surprise him too. He needed his best men there and I was happy to have them. We said our I-dos, and headed to the hotel for dinner by the beach for a bottle fight. Google that now. It's so good, nothing fancy, but we were happy. The luncheon before the elopement, I sent my seating plan to our family GC because I didn't want them to make a scene on the day. Everyone thought these were the seating plans for our reception. Well, here's where my pettiness shows. My head table consisted of us, our parents, and my husband's brothers. All my siblings were at both ends of the long table. My favorite slap in the face though was a table for one way I in the back tagged breastfeeding area with sister's name on the chair. She was livid. I simply said I was looking out for her. I expected she'd want some privacy. No hard feelings, just thinking ahead. My siblings refused to come because they saw my elopement as an act of disrespect, especially since my brothers-in-law were there. They called our relatives to tell them to not come. Some were upset I could do that to family and they did not agree with our union. I'm happy to report that FR 127 guests, only 58 were coming. So I cut my budget by over half. Sounds like a win to me. The venue was my husband's small family farm, which was so beautiful that I didn't need to spend much on decor at all. Music was just a Spotify playlist we made, photos, prenup, beach and lunch, were all by my friends, cake was baked by me and mom 2 nights before, flowers I bought myself from the morning market and arranged with my girls, my dress was just one I had in my closet. Food, we asked people to bring over potluck meals instead of gifts if they wanted to, we still had our pizza oven, pretzel cart and coffee bar that we paid for instead of a caterer. Invites were designed by us and sent via email. Since my siblings all didn't want to attend, only Bridezilla's hubby got an invite, with no option for A+1. Her C-section was scheduled a week before my wedding. Did she notice I planned for her to miss the luncheon? Yes. Yes, she did. It was magical. Us being so unaffected upset them even more. But I've come to realize that the louder you try to force people to side with your opinions and your narrative, then the more toxic, unhinged, narcissistic you are. No, I didn't need to go NC with them because they all decided to be NC with me. I didn't even need to try. Blessings left and right. For those blaming my parents, none of my siblings were neglected. If anything, they gave my sibs so much more time and freedom to compensate for all the attention I needed. Remember, these kids are grown-ass adults. My parents are seniors, they're tired. They told my siblings off for being gigantic gaping a-holes, but what else can they do really? Put them on timeout? Since both our parents wanted to pitch in, they helped us with a down payment on a house instead. In return, we surprised them with a 1-week vacation each to Amanfilo. We saved so much from our wedding and luncheon that we just wanted to show how much we appreciate their support and love. Lastly, any extra food and flowers were either taken home by guests or donated. That just made everything more special. Weddings are about love. Our favorite people were around to celebrate us, and we made sure to also celebrate the love we have for them. Our family, best friends, dogs, who were the stars of the show really. I fully embrace this life of peace, contentment and indifference for my siblings. No idea what they're up to. Sorry, they kicked me out of the GC and I only know my sister gave birth because bro-in-law messaged she did. Last thing I heard is they were still trying to badmouth my husband, but we really couldn't care less. We've moved on. Sucks for them they haven't. Thank you all for following along. It was empowering to know I wasn't alone and enlightening to hear that this type of sibling abuse isn't actually normal. This is your kitty table Mo finally signing off. Update 3. The sibling strike back. I thought we had reached a peaceful, indifferent truce, you know, the kind where we pretend the other doesn't exist and just move on with life. Apparently, my siblings had other plans. A week after our wedding luncheon, I started getting texts from extended family members I hadn't spoken to in years. At first, I ignored them, but then I got a message from an aunt that made me curious. I saw the video. I don't know what to say. I hope you can all work this out. Video? What video? Turns out, my dear siblings, in a last-ditch effort to ruin my happiness, had created a whole compilation video titled something like The Truth About Our Sister, the Ungrateful Bride, and sent it to literally everyone in our family, plus some mutual friends. The video was a dramatic, over-the-top, emotionally manipulative masterpiece. I'm talking slow-motion clips, sad violin music, and even screenshots of old family photos where they conveniently cut me out or blurred my face to make it look like I was always distant. They even included my old McDonald's post from my sister's wedding, calling it a public humiliation of the bride. But the best part? They tried to paint my husband as some kind of master manipulator who turned me against the family. Because yes, apparently the person I've been with for 12 plus years, who sat quietly through all their nonsense, is actually the villain here. The family reaction at first, some of the older relatives were shocked. They reached out, concerned about how divided we'd become and how sad it was that I wasn't making an effort. But the best part? The video backfired spectacularly. Instead of people turning against me, it just made them realize how completely unhinged my siblings are. The overdramatization, the selective editing, and the sheer amount of effort they put into it had people cringing rather than sympathizing. My cousin literally texted me, "WTF is this, a Netflix true crime documentary?" Even my parents were done. They called a family meeting, which I, obviously, didn't attend, where they told my siblings that they embarrassed themselves more than they embarrassed me. Mom's exact words, "You spent hours making a hit piece on your sister while she was on her honeymoon. Do you hear yourselves?" The pettiest wedding gift ever. While all this drama was unfolding, my husband and I were busy enjoying our newlywed life. We had completely cut out the nonsense and were just soaking up the peace. But then, a package arrived. No note, no return address, just a plain box with my name on it. I opened it and inside was a framed photo of my sister's wedding seating chart, specifically the one where she stuck me at the kids' table. I lost it. I started laughing so hard I had tears in my eyes. My husband? He was wheezing. They really thought this was gonna upset me? So what did I do? I put that bad boy right in our guest bathroom. I even added a little plaque underneath that says family first in cursive. Moving forward, my siblings have officially blocked me on everything. No loss there. My parents are over it. They're still in contact with everyone, but they've made it clear that they're not taking sides. The video flopped. Extended family members have now started side-eyeing my siblings instead of me. My husband and I? We're thriving. We just got back from our honeymoon, we're focusing on our new house, and we could not care less about the chaos. Now on to second story. Boyfriend accused me of cheating because of an ancient, empty email folder. Now he refuses to talk and insists on time apart. We've been together for 2 years. He has 2 kids, I have 1 kid, irrelevant to this story. We live apart. I bought a home a few months before we started dating, and are together only when our kids are with their other parent. He's the guy that has treated me the best of all my relationships, and I love him dearly. I'm a chronically anxious and stressed person, and he's absolutely my peace, but today he sucker punched me with this. He's absolutely convinced I'm cheating on him. The reason he suddenly started thinking this is because 2 days ago I wanted to show him something on my phone. There was an irrelevant tab opened, my Hotmail account that is full of spam. Had this account for the past 24 years but mostly use my Gmail. He saw, quickly in passing, that there was a folder with a man's name, let's say James. I don't remember the purpose of this folder. It's empty, haven't touched it in 15 years, no idea why it exists. It was probably useful at some point but no idea. Well, now he's convinced that. I closed the tab too quick. I was acting weird and nervous and suspicious. This means I've cheated or I am actively cheating. That's his perspective. Now, on to the actual truth. I am absolutely not cheating on him. He's the man of my dreams, love of my life. I have never ever given him a reason to even suspect him cheating. I spend 1 entire week with him at his place, never hid my phone, anything like that. When I'm my house, it means I'm with my kiddo and my time is 100% devoted to her. I also work a lot. There is not a single second in my life where I would have time to devote to any other person, even through email. I spend my downtime at home or being with kiddo and the cat, watching YouTube videos. I send him a lot of pictures of me chilling with my cat as well, and we have a constant communication going. I'm very chatty through text. Anyways, at first I was super pissed and also confused because why on earth would you not trust me? What is happening? No matter what I say, he says I don't make any sense whatsoever and he's just adding 1 + 1 into him. The answer is 2. I keep telling him that he's the one not making any sense. We're back and forth on the texting. He doesn't even want to speak over the phone or come over to talk about it. I've sent him numerous screenshots of my email with unopened emails that go back more than a year. I've sent screenshots of me typing the keyword James in the email and nothing coming up. I've shown him the completely empty sent folder, which to me is weird. I've sent numerous emails over the years. Why is it empty? And I've also given him the login and password so he can look for himself. I've accumulated a lot of junk in that email over the many years I've had it, but rarely use it now. It is just a receptacle of all my Amazon orders, my McDonald's app receipts, and various spam emails. I'm pissed he doesn't trust me. He says he needs time to think. I'm stuck in a loop of pissed, confused and sad. What's going on? Update 1. So, it did not end well. After 48 hours of back and forth through text, because he refused to even speak to me over the phone or face to face, and me giving him my password so he can go check for himself that nothing was fucky, he still wouldn't back down. At this point his behavior was concerning and I thought he may have a mental episode going on. It was getting too much. He was texting me at all hours of the night trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense in the first place. So I blocked him. When he reveals that he sent me emails at my work email, asking me to check my Hotmail, which had nothing different in it. When I blocked his email he decided to message my best friend and telling her, if I can't talk to her, I'll go through you instead. My friend has literally nothing to do whatsoever with this whole thing. She never replied and is sticking with me because she's also seeing how crazy he's acting. So I thought that was that. Yesterday at work I was visibly sad and distressed, and my whole team hugged me, offered support and I had lunch with my other good friend and colleague. So the day goes by, I get off work at 4. I am walking to my car in the parking lot, flanked by 2 colleagues and I'm kind of explaining the whole story. They go to one of the girls' car because they carpool. I walk towards my own car which is parked 2 rows away. I hear a loud man's voice behind me. I turned around and it's him. He's walking very quickly towards me and still talking nonsense about emails. I hold my hand up and say I'm not doing this with you right now, all the while calculating whether I am safe to go to my car. He was screaming at me that I was a whore, a slut. I've never seen him like this before at all. A little energy pushed me to turn around and go to my colleague's car. At this point I'm shaking and scared. I enter her car and start hyperventilating. They're like, we'll drive you home. He was about 6 feet from the car, hate in his eyes, motioning me to get out of the car. We drove off. I kept apologizing to them, crying and looking behind us the whole trip to make sure he wasn't following. When I came home my mother was there, I broke down and she called the cops. A nice officer told me over the phone I got nothing else going on right now, you're my priority, and I'm coming to you as soon as I can. He came to my home, took my deposition, was extremely patient and understanding, explained everything that he was going to do after. My ex was placed under arrest for criminal harassment with certain conditions to follow. Not sure about the legal terms here, but they did not handcuff him or take him to jail, it was just a verbal thing and he will probably be summoned in court at a later date. I have a good network of people who care, and I believe I'm safe. Thanks everyone. Edit. I just had a 2-hour conversation with his ex, let's call her Jess, not the mother of his kids, but the girl he dated between the kid's mother and me. A very interesting conversation. She has lived exactly the same situation as me, minus the calling the cops. She told me he was ultra controlling, physically and verbally abusive to his 2 sons, a bad drug habit, an unhealthy/borderline inappropriate relationship with the mother of his children, and he was psychologically and sexually abusive towards Jess. She told me he used to put her on a pedestal, same as me, but he had a lot of behavior problems that I've noticed but chose to ignore just because I loved him so much. I hope he gets the help he needs. Oop, thank you. I needed to hear this. I am angry at him, but sometimes during the day I have small bouts of thoughts like, did I overreact? Am I being too harsh with having him arrested? And I have huge regrets about it. But then I realize, hey, the actual officer of the law told me he had enough motive to literally arrest him, so I'm doing the right thing. But knowing my ex, that's just a facade and he's probably absolutely boiling with rage inside. Oop, I understand what you mean. Yes, he did have a temper but never, ever directed at me personally. Usually he would be mad at the mother of his children for mishandling a situation regarding the kids, and would go on a rant about how much of a C/T she is.